Well, hey, gang, Darryl Davis coming here to talk about designing a real estate career worth smiling about. So, in this video, which is going to be a long one, I'm just warning you, is I thought it was important that I read through the Big Beautiful Bill, which is its actual legal name, which is now law, and how it impacts the real estate industry specifically. I'm happy to say right out the gate, it's positive, mostly. So this is not to be political. This is factual. This is what's in black and white. I've read through it. I ran it through also AI to come up with a summary for you. So now before I get into this, I will say two things. Number one is the military, there's a lot of changes positive for the military. So because that's such a niche group, I'm going to save that to the end. So if you're interested in the military, that's a market that you work as a real estate professional, then that'll be of interest to you. But the second thing I want to share has nothing to do with real estate, but I think it's really important that every American be aware of this, which is now law, and which is unfortunate, what I want to share with you, because this was a tax bill, and they put something in there that nobody talked about, and it has nothing to do with taxes. As a matter of fact, it has nothing to do, there is absolutely 100% no benefit to citizens of the United States of America, not one. And here's what it is. As a matter of fact, it hurts every single American, and I'm real upset about this part of the bill. That if you wanted to sue the government for something, let's say they took your land, eminent domain, and you disagree with it, and you want to sue the government, well, good luck, because now you have to post a bond. And for those folks that don't understand what a bond is, it means that, well, if you're going to sue the government for, let's say, $1 million, and if the government is going to have to lose maybe $500,000 to defend the position with you, then you have to put up a bond of $500,000 before you can, hold the government accountable. Now, I'll give you a more accurate example of this, of something that we're dealing with right now. In Texas, there was this horrible flood. As of the time we're recording this, there's been now 61 deaths. I forget how many children, over 20, I think. It's horrible. And so it seems that the government, I'm not sure on this, like we're trying to get to the heart of it, but the government's actually dodging the question every time it's been asked, and I've been watching this, that they knew several days in advance about this impending storm, and they chose not to notify citizens to give them the choice to vacate. They chose not to, and that part they did admit, because they didn't want to cry wolf and then people, and if it didn't turn out to be something, yada, yada. Anyway, so let's say you're a parent whose, unfortunately, child had passed, and if you felt you had grounds to sue the government, that they should have communicated that to you, and because they didn't, your child is now passed. And if, let's say, you can win millions of dollars for that, well, whatever it would cost the government to defend your lawsuit, before you'd have to put up a bond of, in this case, it would be at least hundreds of thousands of dollars, could even be millions. I would like somebody to explain to me, how does that benefit any American? How does that hold the government accountable? And I can't think of one. So unfortunately, that's now law, and pretty horrible in my opinion. Okay, with that said, write your congressman. Let's go to the real estate, and I'm going to be reading this. I apologize for my wandering eye, so I want to make sure I get this correct. The mortgage interest deduction. So it was supposed to expire in 2026. It is now permanent, and it's set at $750,000. It's effective immediately. So who benefits this? Homeowners in expensive markets like California, Long Island, New Jersey, with big high income earners who itemize deductions. So, one of the things that makes housing the American dream is the mortgage interest deduction. So that's now permanent, which is awesome. who might it harm? Renters or those in lower cost areas, they get no benefits. So it really doesn't harm them, just no benefits. But first-time home buyers, it may face inflated prices if mortgage tax perks push demand goes up. So that's a maybe. State and local tax, which is referred to as SALT deduction, got a big boost. What is the SALT deduction? I'm sure you all know, but just in case. When you pay your state taxes, if you're in a state where you pay state taxes, and your local tax, that combined amount, you could deduct that off of your tax bill. But it was $10,000 was the cap. Now it's been raised to $40,000 for joint filers earning up to $500,000. That's effective, and it increases 1% a year for inflation. Inflation? What's inflation? I don't know, but it fell out of my mouth. So so that benefits homeowners in high tax states. New York. So for New Yorkers, we did pretty good on this. California and New Jersey. High income earners with a large property and income tax bills. Very great. All right, let's see. Pass-through deduction. This is really great as well. So the pass-through deduction works this way. If, let's say, you own real estate in an LLC and you have this one property that generated a profit of $100,000 or 10 properties that generated profit of $10,000, whatever your LLC profit was, that gets funneled to you. That's your pass-through income and becomes your personal income that you now have to pay taxes on. Well, the deduction was raised from 20% to 23%. So in other words, you don't pay that 3% difference, you don't pay on that extra 3%. So in the example of 100,000, 20% is 20,000. 100,000 is now 23%, 23,000. So now that extra 3,000 from 20,000 to 23, that extra 3,000, you get tax-free. Okay, so that's pretty good. Who's it going to benefit? Real estate investors, LLCs, partnerships. Realtors with small real estate teams classified as sole proprietors pass through, so that's good. Who it doesn't help, W-2 employers, that's about it. Okay, next one is, I love this as a real estate investor. So this is huge. So, by the way, you're going to see, I think, based on this bill, more real estate investors, because there's so much benefit to them here. And here's another one. So there's something called accelerated depreciation. When you buy a house, let's say for $100,000, and then you spend $50,000 to improve that property, that $50,000 you can write off your taxes and depreciate it, because according to the IRS, they say that real estate goes down in value. Let them keep thinking that. And so if you spend $50,000 in improvements, this is going to get complicated. Some of those items, you can accelerate the depreciation. Instead of doing it over 27 and a half years, you can accelerate, saying this refrigerator I bought, I'll write off 100% of it in 2 years. I don't know what, there's actual formulas for each thing. Well, bottom line is that's all done away with. You can now, instead of spreading it out over 27 and a half years, you could write off 100% in the first year. So if you're buying a lot of real estate like I do, and you in 1 year you spend $50,000 in improving that property, instead of depreciating it over years, you can write off 100% of that in year one. That's huge. That is huge. That's effective after January 19th of this year. So flippers, real estate investors, landlords, like even you've owned a house for 10 years. You own a house now, and as an investor, and you decide to put central air conditioning, which I'm putting in all my properties because of the climate change. I don't like my tenants to put in, I don't want them dying from heat. So every one of my properties, I go in and I put a central air unit in, $20,000, I can write off that $20,000 that year. So what's great about that is investors can look at strategically, based on their tax bill, listen, I don't need to improve that property, but why not if I can get that 100% tax break? So this is huge. This is really huge for real estate investing. So I'm excited about that. Low income housing tax credit expansion. The credit allocation been boosted to 12.5%. So I don't do this, so some of the languaging is a little hard for me, but here's the bottom line is when a builder goes into a designated area to build affordable housing in these zones, they get tax benefits. It used to be 4%. Now it's been bumped up to 9%. And there's some other math there. And I'm sorry, I just don't understand it. And I didn't want to rack my brain about it. So I'm going to just do a poor man's summary of this. There should be, my prediction is more low-income renting buildings, apartments, and housing is going to start happening, which is great for renters, for low-income folks, okay? So we should see more low-income housing development because of all of the benefits in there. So that's great. Okay, here's a negative, at least in my opinion. Sorry, I'm trying to not keep this political, but the clean energy tax credit. So our current government doesn't believe in climate change. I personally do. So all of the tax credits for solar, home efficiency, clean vehicles, all of that gone. So developers, builders, I guess it benefits them. They don't have to worry about costly green standards. I was just at the Smithsonian, and boy, there's science. It's there in the Smithsonian. We do have global warming, but whatever. So basically, it's all gone. Okay, so to summarize, before I get to the military, here is the bottom line of the whole bill when it comes to real estate. Who benefits? Homeowners in high-cost states like New York, California, New Jersey get larger tax deductions. Real estate investors, huge partnerships, realtors, S corporations, developers in affordable housing get tax credits, expanded more than double. Rural investors and builders benefit from revamped opportunity zones. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Landlords making improvements to real estate. Big ticket item upgrades, immediately tax write-off. Heirs and estate planners, a large estate tax exemption, which I didn't talk about, but that's been preserved, so it hasn't been changed. Now, the military, who does this harm? And then I'll go to the military, is renters, low-income tenants, because what happened there is this is part of that political conversation about Medicaid and SNAP. So a lot of people are going to won't qualify for SNAP benefits, Medicaid benefits. So tenants who are Section 8, who are low-income folks, that may be a problem for them because they're going to have less government support of food and Medicaid, and with real estate, real estate's going to go up. So unfortunately, who's going to get hurt the most in real estate is renters. First-time home buyers, there's still some opportunity for them, but okay, green home builders and owners, they're going to lose. So the whole green home builders division, or anybody that's solar panel, folks in the green industry, they're going to suffer tremendously. Small nonprofits and citizens suing the government over housing or zoning, like I said earlier, you're going to find if the government does eminent domain or does anything real estate related, you're kind of out of luck in going after them now. Buyers in climate-sensitive area may lose access to updated FEMA flood mapping. The current administration has made it clear the commitment is after the hurricane season to do away with FEMA and put it to the states. So who knows how that's going to work or what it's going to look like. But FEMA's, the commitment they have is to have it gone. So any real estate that has Long Island, for example, flood concerns, Florida, to any the South Belt, with Carolinas flooding. That's going to be a problem. So that's what I anticipate. First-time home buyers may be squeezed potentially by higher interest rates. So that's where the first-time buyers may get hurt, because there's a lot of spin, but every math says that the debt will increase by $4 trillion because of this bill. So we may see an increase in mortgage interest rates this year, which is going to be harder for first-time buyers. Okay, so I hope that. And now the military. So let's get to the military. But you can stop watching now if you got what you needed. So, military, permanent housing allowance exemption. And I don't know military, so I'm going to do my best here. What it does is, and we're going to give a summary on this as well. I think there's a downloadable form somewhere on my site that explains all this. Permanent housing allowance exempt from taxable income. So what it does is the BAH, the Basic Allowance for Housing, permanently tax-free, including when calculating eligibility for income-based programs like VA loans. So it'll impact military family benefits by keeping more of their housing income and potentially qualifying for more housing aid. VA loans eligibility expands, and it helps military renters qualify for affordable housing programs without their BAH counting against them. So that's great. Increased funding for military housing renovation and construction, approximately over $2.5 billion for modernizing of military family housing across the U.S. Focus on addressing substandard housing, mold issues, HVAC problems that have been plaguing the military housing units, which is awesome. This will impact in a huge way contractors, builders, property managers. They can bid on large government contracts. It'll improve the quality of life for the military, which is awesome. Base realignment and rural housing grants. So what it does is the grants incentivize real estate development near newly aligned or expanding military bases. It's designed to support an infrastructure and a multifamily housing projects that can accommodate growing base populations. So that's good. Again, that's going to impact builders in a positive way. It'll boost local housing markets around realigned and growing installations. So that's great. Number 4, VA loans are streamlined and fees are capped. So the origination fee for the loans, VA loans, are capped and speeds up appraisals and approvals. Awesome. It modernizes the whole VA loan tech system and digital portals. Great. Anything to modernize the VA is a great thing. It'll impact veterans homebuyers to get faster approvals and lower out-of-pocket fees. It could result in more veterans entering the housing market with greater ease. Hoorah. Military housing privatization oversight. This is the last one, number 5. It tightens oversight over privatized military housing companies. It requires compliance with stricter inspections, habitability, and maintenance standards. It could force existing base housing operations to invest more in upkeep and risk losing contracts. So that's good. May open doors to new operators and new investors with stronger compliance capabilities. Okay, so there you have it. All in all, it's some negatives, but mostly positive for the real estate space. So that's a good thing. All right, I hope this was helpful, useful. It was a little painful for me to read this. I would read the bill for something to go to sleep at night. All right. Anyway, real estate still is, and always will be the best place to park your money. Please stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. Thanks.